What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN USD. It is the 30th day of April, the final day of April, and here we are sitting at about $0.0053. 8 hours, 51 minutes left in this day, left in this month. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it. Okay, so it is completely possible from here. It is absolutely completely possible that we do go back down to this area here, that we do go back below 0.005, especially with the fact that we went from the golden ratio and up. Golden ratio found resistance, and then we came down. It is very possible. It is absolutely possible. However, I do believe that we could see some volatility to the upside, and in that volatility, there may be a chance for us to recover and redeem ourselves and even go up. And there are other things as well that suggest that we could not only move higher from here, but get above this high. Getting above this high, really getting above the 236 on a consistent 4-hour closing basis or daily closing basis would very much imply that we are going to see higher highs. And I've got reasons for that, but let's get into it, okay? Let's talk about it. If we're looking at this on the daily time frame, and we observe here our last kind of significant pump that we had back in January, from a low to a high, we came all the way down and we slowly flirted with the golden ratio until we broke through it and we found support at the 786. When we found support at the 786, we did come back up to the golden ratio zone. So there is a chance, from here, from the 786, that we do just come up to about 0.006. That might be it, and then we're on our way down again. I would think that any kind of movement up toward this area of about 0.006 or even like 0.0059, and then back down to this area, like if we were to make this move and then come back down, I think that would definitely appear as if we are going back down to these levels here, as if this pump happened and then it just never happened at all. We've been through that plenty of times before, haven't we? That can absolutely happen. And man, people keep listing perps for OnyxCoin instead of spot. I think that's not good for the price either. More people to short. But on that note, guys, there are more people shorting OnyxCoin than there are longing OnyxCoin, and hopefully this will pull up. Let's just see here. Let's see right here. Yeah, OnyxCoin liquidation heat map from Bybit, Mexi, Gate.io, and Kraken. I have this here if it'll pull up. Let's just see. Come on now. And this is over the past week. I did the last 7 days, but you can see here on the heat map, man, if it would just load. You know what? I can click out of this, and then we could just zoom it in. Maybe not. No, I should probably click on it. And let's just see if it loads. There you go. See you at 2 cents. Another misleading post. Down 8% today alone. Down 38% from the so-called pump. Yeah, it's still also up. Talking about misleading, Calzo TR. Talking about misleading, it is still up overall. Let's see. This week, how much is it up overall? Still up 11%. So still positive compared to where it's been for the past month. This month it's still up. Yes, it wicked all the way up. That's unfortunate. We had a wick here, but being bearish because we were down here, we were down 52% from the wicking high. Being bearish there would have been the most painful experience of your life. Absolutely it would. And the reality is, this wick, if this is what makes you bearish, you are clinging on to desperate hope, man, because everything else about this chart is bullish. Macro significance, right? We're finding support at prior resistance here. We're finding support at our low to high Fibonacci retracement at the golden ratio right there. We're getting higher lows. We went from being in a steady, slow bleed of a downtrend for about a year to now over the last 6 months we've been moving sideways. The tide is shifting, right? It's not that we're doing anything bullish here. But again, we went from a long downtrend here to just moving sideways for a very long time with higher lows. Moving sideways for a long time with higher lows. And again, it's comparable. I don't think we're going to see this. I don't think that's what's coming. But yes, going to 2 cents where the 236 is from the golden ratio, well, where there's prior resistance, that makes sense to me. And then we take this here from a high to a low. High to a low, golden ratio is right up there too. I mean, hell, we found support at the golden ratio. Might we find resistance at the golden ratio? And this is a pretty reliable bottom, being that we've been moving sideways for 6 months, and we're clearly getting buying pressure. Anytime we move down, there's suboptimal volume. Anytime we move up, we're getting volume. And things have been developing a lot over the past 6 months specifically. But Sure. My stuff's misleading. Whatever. This is the Bybit chart. And for Bybit here, you can see there are a lot of longs that just got cleared out with this recent move down. A lot of longs just got cleared out. There's not that many below us, but there are a ton of shorts piled on, specifically right around the high points of the price and through there. Talk about a short squeeze. A lot of shorts over there, okay? And then here, MEXC, also same kind of thing. Not a lot of longs, tons of shorts above the highs here, right at the highs and above the highs. And there's even more above there. Gate.io here, same thing, a lot of shorts piled on, a little bit below the highs this time, but still, going up through the highs. There's not a whole lot of longs at all below there. Everybody's shorting, man, across all these exchanges. Look at the shorts here. And you look at Bybit, we look at the Bybit chart specifically, and the shorts outweigh the long positions nearly 3-to-1 on Bybit. It's taking a second to load, but if you go on my X page on your mobile device, on your computer maybe, it'll validate that, it'll show. Anyways, you can look this up on CoinGlass yourself too. Anyways, getting back to OnyxCoin, getting back to the TA here, all I'm saying is I'm not really afraid of this at all. I don't think that this is that worrisome, and the worst comes to worst, we're just back where we started, where we were still bullish. Now, I will say, and I will add back to this thought that I had, back here in the golden ratio, that if we do come down here, that I think we would have more reason to sell than we did throughout any of this time, right? Anybody who wanted to sell, they've already sold. So if we came back down here, this might cause some people who were counting on this pump, once it comes back down here, they might throw in the towel, and we get that little dump afterwards. That does happen sometimes, but then we might recover from there. Maybe we go lower. It's completely possible. In other words, all I'm trying to say, very simply put, is should we come back down here, the statistical probability that we go lower is at a higher level here than it would have been here. That doesn't mean that it's more likely to happen. It's just more likely to happen than it was back here. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, here we are grinding it out with the golden ratio, finally hitting the 786. The goal here, the first and the primary goal, is to get 4-hour closing periods, right? Multiple 1-hour closing periods is ideal, sure, but multiple 4-hour closing periods. We want the 4-hour time frame to close above the golden ratio, 0.0059. I don't care if it says 0.0587. If we can't get above 0.0059, that's not going to be encouraging either. So let's get above there. Let's do that. OnyxCoin is definitely down from its high, absolutely. But if you notice here, volume spike on the buying side, volume spikes a little bit on the selling side. This one was kind of a neutral candle, to be fair. And then as we slowly move down, volume has just died off entirely. The only time we had a sizable spike at all was when we pumped here. And these might look like wicks, but you look at the 1-hour time frame, you can just see how immense the buying pressure was all these times and how absolutely desolate the selling pressure has been this whole time. The volume is continuing to die off as we move lower, and the shorts are piling on. Now, maybe the shorts will continue to make money. I don't know what the funding rates are, depending on how long you have to hold that and how well those are paying off. I mean, funding rates can definitely bite you in the ass for holding a position for the long term, but if you have been shorting this, if you've been given the opportunity to short from any of these highs, good job. You're making some money. I don't know if that's something that you should hold for too long. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. There's a lot of incentive to move up and squeeze these shorts. And again, a lot of these shorts, a lot of that pressure is right around the highs of this price right here. So imagine here your short gets liquidated. What happens then is by default you are forced to buy back. The exchange closes your position, and to close a short, that means they buy back with leverage, right? They're buying back to counter out your losses so that they don't lose any of their money, because they're not going to lose money on your trade. They're just going to take your money on your trade. That's how it works. And so not only does this incentivize the price to go up here and clear the shorts, but that buying pressure causes a squeeze in itself. That's why it's called a short squeeze, right? And that sends the price even higher. There might even be more people who are trying to short as we're going higher here, and that can add to the fire should those shorts get squeezed. On top of that, the amount of FOMO that will happen, right? I mean, imagine this is it, right? We pumped up here, we came back down. Some people might FOMO. I bought some. I bought some yesterday, like right around here, right around 0.058, 0.057, whatever it was. And we're down a little bit today. But the FOMO probably wasn't that extreme for most people. Probably not. However, if we move up again, if we see anything that's like near this high, anything near it at all, the FOMO is going to set in because people are going to understand that we're likely not going to double top. In a situation like this, we're probably going to increase to this area here. And imagine you bought the top itself, the tip top, even going to this top here, that's a 50% gain. There's a lot of room to run if this thing wants to run, and it happens fast. So FOMO paired with short squeezing dynamics, paired with negative sentiment overall, I don't know, man. I'm bullish. I'm definitely bullish here. We look at this on the 1 hour time frame. Probably not a lot to go off of. 1 hour MACD does look bearish. We're building bearish momentum. We had a nice little build of bullish momentum here. I guess a dying of bearish momentum. There's some bullish divergence going on. We had a false cross. That's sad, and that's ultimately what caused us to come down. I definitely got excited on this pump, but whatever, man, whatever. Stochastics are coming up. We've been oversold for a while. I think that we're overdue to come up. That doesn't mean that we have to pump from here, but maybe we put a halt in this downward sloping move. Again, we are at the relative 786 from this low to high retracement, so this is a good area to find support. We look at this on the daily time frame again. We're going to come back out to the 4 hour here in a second. We look at this. No, not that one. Sorry. We take this low to this high on this relative move here. You also bounced right at the 786 here and went up to your 382. Again, just imagining that here from relative low to relative high. You're right at your 786, bounce here, go to your 382. I would think any kind of movement above these highs, again, and above this high, I think that would be very, very encouraging for the price to go up higher. But ultimately, we're waiting for prices to close above 00747. If we can close there or higher, that's whenever we'll start to celebrate as if we're going to 1 cent and beyond. Okay, 1 cent and beyond. And if we do get above this high, the implication isn't just that we'll move up here and find resistance here. The implication then is that we might be in some grandiose kind of double bottom accumulative pattern that does in fact send us on a retracement of this overall move down that we've experienced for well over a year now. We look at this from a high to a low. If I can get the low, and the golden ratio is right there. Right there in the golden pocket where we found support, where we found resistance, where we found resistance here and here and here, and it's at 1.9 to 2.3 cents. If that's misleading, I can't help you, man. I can't help you. 0053, looking back at let's look at the 4 hour time frame now. Let's see. The RSI has sold off. It has sold off. It's unfortunate because we're looking at this here. We actually did have a nice trend. We had this nice kind of like higher low dynamic, and I'm not drawing it the best, but you can see what I'm going for more or less. We can pull it down a little bit. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, if we take it outside that trend dynamic and we just put it right where you are here, finding support, you've actually found support right at this line, just above this line, just below this line, pretty consistently for the entire month of April. And here we are again. Just a thought. Just a thought. Maybe it's a misleading thought, or maybe it's completely appropriate. It seems pretty damn appropriate in my opinion, but whatever. Stochastics here are oversold. We're crossing up. They're bearish overall. And it is what it is. It's bearish overall. But, when we were oversold last time, that was here, relative low point. We didn't really do much from there. Different kind of dynamics here, though. The MACD is technically bullish overall. And if we start to slowly phase up higher, we don't see just like a sudden shift here, but if we slowly kind of phase up and then maybe shift later, that could definitely stand to give us an area to find support here with our oscillators at the 0, and that would be very powerful. We don't need to come to the 0. We could find support right here and move up. It doesn't need to come down here, but whatever, We're still bullish overall with the oscillators being above. You are building a lot of bearish momentum, and think of it this way. This is the most bearish momentum, you guys, that we have seen since March of 2026. Okay, this is the most bearish momentum we've seen. We typically don't get below this. We've seen lower levels. We absolutely have seen lower levels. But also, look at the time frame, right? Whenever we flipped red here to whenever we flipped green again, that was 24 bars. Okay, this is on the 4 hour period. This here, whenever we were in this kind of trough of bearishness, that was about 16 bars. Whenever we were in this one here, that was about 23 bars, 24 bars, 16 bars, whatever. Yeah. Whenever we were in this one here, that was about 30 bars. And then here, this one, we are about 11 bars in. So time-wise, we might have a little bit more to go. But again, imagine that we are getting below this horizontal line here with our histogram. We're at some of the more oversold areas we've been. Whenever we were here last time, whenever we were very oversold, it was at this relative low point. We moved up a little bit, still moved down, but then we had a nice move up afterwards. I do believe what we're getting at here with this is that, and I mean, you look at this one over here, we had a relative low point, we moved up a little bit, still moved down, but still moved back up afterwards. Still continue to like just consolidate and accumulate as well. Here, this was definitely the beginning of worse things to come. We're at a low point here, moved up, and then we inevitably moved up. Even if we are to move lower, there likely will be some type of move that brings us back to this 006 level. That's all I'm trying to get at, and that's something that I was saying in the very beginning of this video too, is at least from here, whether we slowly bleed down, whether we move sideways, whether we slowly move up, or we just quick pump, I would at least expect something around 0059 to 006 again before moving lower. But if we can get above there, if we can get closing price action, multiple 4-hour candles closing in a row above 0059, I think that would look really good. And especially with size and hopefully less wicks as well. Solid bodies up. That's what we want to see. We look at this one last thing on the 1 hour time frame here. You guys know how I feel about these Coinbase gaps. 1 hour time frame, there is a gap up here at about 0.00604, and there is a gap up here at about 0.00622. So there are some gaps to the upside. I would imagine that, again, even if we don't see higher prices than these highs here, even if we don't squeeze the shorts, I would very much expect that we do clear out these gaps, and then maybe from there we move down. I got nothing else for you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.